Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to the Grain Market Blast, where you join myself and the glamorous goddess of grain herself, Angie Setzer, where Angie will be providing us a rapid roundup of the latest pricing flows and market moving news in agricultural markets. But before we do, I'll get the legals out of the way. Nothing discussed in the space of session constitute trading or investment advice or infers any kind of endorsement by PIQ, myself, Ryan Paisley, or indeed Angie Setzer. And I will take a moment, because I think it's very important. I think Angie will agree with me here, just to take a moment for three reasons really. One, to just kind of take a moment to take in what happened yesterday. No matter what political leanings you are, that was just absolutely lost for words really. But yeah, it's just what is going on. But also to take a moment to remember those from September the 11th. Especially if anyone's affected by that or had relations, etc., my heart goes out to you. And also, unfortunately, it was another day where there was also a high school shooting in the US. So it's all just not very good. So apologies to start the show on a somber note, but I do think it's very, very important to recognise these things.
Yes, I think it is, definitely. I was a sophomore in college on September 11th. I will remember it forever and ever. It was just kind of a crazy experience. Hard to believe it was 24 years ago. I cannot believe that. And then the other thing, with everything else that we have going on, I saw someone post and I retweeted it earlier about we need a kindness movement. And so that's what I would say. Biggest thing is just always, never get so caught up in you and what you have going on and all of these things that we forget that we're all human. We're all people. We all take shit first thing in the morning. We all put our pants on one leg at a time, that sort of thing.
I feel horrible for quoting Keanu Reeves, but he said something a long time ago and it's always stuck with me. And he said he doesn't want to be in a world, I'm paraphrasing here because I can't remember exactly, but it's along the lines of he doesn't want to be in a world where kindness is a weakness.
Well, and that's, some of you guys may not know, but my son Colton has Down syndrome. And so that has been the biggest thing that we've learned in the 9 years that we've had him is I just approach the world every day like Colton does, which is he loves everybody. He gives everybody a chance. He, embraces the good. He tells me when it sucks.
He's the best. Let's be honest. He's the best.
He is the best. Yeah. And so I'm very lucky in that regard and spending every day with him and being his mom and all of that's just definitely. So I just want to, really, really I know we have a lot of feelings. I know we have a lot of everything right now, but try to channel that into something good today, if you can. Whether it's paying it forward, going to the dog pound and taking a dog for the walk, if that makes you feel good. I don't know what will make you feel good, but just try to be the person that someone comments later today and says, I ran into the most amazing person today, or this person did this, and they be that person that gives other people a reason to believe in the faith in humanity, right? That's my goal in life. My only prayer every day is to help me be good, help me do good. And I just wish we'd, and I'm not saying that because I'm great. Believe me, I need it. That's why I have to say it every day. But just,
one act of kindness at a time. That's all.
Yes, that's all it takes. Honestly, it really does. And I think we've gotten away from that. And I think it's easy to, look at other people as, faceless, folks on the internet or whatever anymore. They believe differently politically from me. And so blah, blah, blah. No, the people that do these types of horrendous acts aren't the people that, for the most part that you're seeing in a day to day. So let's just try to remember that, anyway, market stuff.
Yes.
Because it is hard. It is hard to, kind of try to focus. You almost feel guilty about it, especially today, because it is massively, September 11th and some of these other things and just all of the stuff that's going on. But we have a lot happening. And so first things first, I want to touch on the China sorghum story because that's starting to make rounds again. Okay, so guys, that was announced in November. This has been something that's been in the works for an extended period of time. This isn't a trade war driven thing. Brazil produces just under 5 million metric tons of sorghum and they use the majority of it. However, China has aggressively been seeking out secondary sources for supplies. They have been, working with Brazil. The idea that they that the trade war is the only thing that's pushing China to be like, you know what? Yeah, Brazil, you're producing way more sorghum than you ever have before. Like, and it's giving you an alternative, and maybe it gives us an alternative. And like, we don't really import a ton of it, but sure, we'll do that. And then you saw them also when they approved sorghum. It's weird. We don't have the seafood lobby right now crying about how terrible this is or whatever. Fresh grapes. I don't know if the grape lobby has spoken out yet. I hope they do, because this is a big deal. Sesame seeds, sorghum, fish meal, fish oil, and other fish derived proteins and fats for animal feeds. That's what they agreed to in November. This has been something that they had been working on for an extended period of time. Yes, you're going to see a continuation of growth and trade between Brazil and China with different commodities, with China and other people with different commodities. It's just one of those things where China has had a very slow process when it comes to allowing imports from different countries. They've been kind of picky along the way. And so this whole deal with Brazil, this wasn't done, as a poke in the eye to the U.S. sorghum industry, or the U.S. feed grain producer, because really when it comes down to it, could you see, maybe they import 1 million metric tons or something like that eventually from Brazil? Sure. But really when it comes down, it'll help to support the market structure in Brazil in the sense that you have a secondary supply, but they really aren't, it's not something that they strive to export a ton of. So like if you do see it to where Milo, sorghum, works into a rotation better.
So what's Milo?
Milo
Educate
is
me.
sorghum. It's like rapeseed
Okay.
and canola. Right?
Okay.
So rapeseed is canola and Milo is sorghum. So like we
Okay.
just have our own little, is Malo, over here.
So it's
That's
a bit like, so when you guys say cilantro, I'm like, what the hell is she talking about? Cilantro is coriander. Say
Oh, I have no
coriander.
idea. It just tastes like soap to me. I don't know what you're talking about. But so, I really want to pump the brakes on this. Like we're allowing politics, into everything that we do anymore. And a lot of what I'm reading, is very politically skewed in some of these assessments where it's like, well, it's another alternative because of the Trump trade war. Yeah. Like, I mean,
Yeah.
could you say like, yeah, the trade war may have expedited this or pushed them to do this or helped improve Brazil? Sure. But I'm going to tell you, our big ag conglomerates were salivating over Brazil 15 years ago to help expand and get them to this situation right now because the margins were fatter. So what are you going to, you know what I mean?
All
Like,
right.
let's call a spade here and let's try not to, assess what this all means. So that was one of the bigger things I wanted to point out is like, yes, China is continuing to, work around or figure out different suppliers for their stuff, but this was something that's been in the works for a hot minute here.
Right.
It's not brand new. Also of interest that I think kind of on the subject of China, we've kind of lost, like I feel like in the market, sometimes we get to where we're just like, okay, well, I've assessed this situation and I'm not going to assess it for another year. And so a lot of folks are still kind of like, oh, economically speaking, China's really rough, this, that, and the other thing. And they are. I don't know. I'm not going to pretend I'm an expert in all of the inner workings of China's economic data, but they do have a stock market that's been rallying. Like we've been setting new highs. Like they're basically kind of following in the US's path. A lot of people are
Yeah.
feeling more confident about what we've got going on. And then last night you kind of had this announcement that they're preparing to tackle, and I'm kind of reading, so forgive me, but they're preparing to tackle a significant backlog of unpaid bills. So the local government has owned the private
Yeah.
sector across China, somewhere like $1 trillion, like
Yeah.
140 billion, upwards of what, $2 trillion US
It's
dollars?
something stupid. But
It's,
what I loved about this whole story is they've taken a lot of words to say the word bailout.
yes, that's what it is. And that's what I chuckled this morning because I got to listen to the call. And I hadn't I hadn't seen yet any of the real headlines. I was listening to you and Michael Brown, on the morning blast there, which I'm looking forward to our crypto call tomorrow. I have no idea what I'm doing, but it'll be fun. Instead of the crypto blast, but, that's a lot of money. And like you said, it's a lot of money. Basically it's a
Yeah.
bailout. They're going
Yeah.
to put it in place over the next couple of years. It's going to really kind of reset, the local government. Like remember that a lot of this expansion that's happened across China has been on the back of the local government, and most of them have not been able to pay their bills for a hot minute. And that's been part of what's really kind of created this collapse in China in a lot of ways, or created this economic uncertainty, is, if you're a contractor and you're doing work for the local city, you expect that your bill's going to get paid. If it doesn't get paid, you know what I mean? Like, what does that mean for you and your business and all of these other things? And so this is kind of one of those pieces of the China stimulus package that really needed to be done. This clearing out the backlog of their property, their real estate, which is what they're talking about in that regard, and some of these other things. Like, it's a step in the right direction to regain consumer confidence. And then, of course, to see the stock market rallying and some of these other things, that's thought to be pretty supportive. And, really when it comes down to it, China's really trade warring with a lot of folks, not just us. You got Canada, you got the EU, and us. And so it's kind of just started to be ignored to a certain extent.
Right.
But they've also started moving their exports around. Like, I think Germany caught a lot of what would have maybe worked its way into the US and some of these other things. So we'll be watching a continuation of what's happening with China. It's not necessarily a trade negotiation piece or anything like that, but it does show that they are quickly working on trying to right the ship that was their economic storm or whatever in that regard. Other than that, we have a report out tomorrow. Most folks are kind of keeping their overall expectations, a bit lofty in what is going to come off. I think I should have had this ready. I did have it ready, I thought, but now I can't find it. Most everyone's expecting,
fast market, quick.
Right? That's what I feel like. I'm like, I don't know what I'm doing anymore. Someone call the professionals. But basically, like, from a convenience standpoint, like, we're expecting, crop size to stay elevated. Most folks are anticipating average yield on corn to come in at 186.2 still. So slightly lower, like about 3 bushel lower than what, was announced last month. Or 188.8. Soybeans are expecting just slightly lower than last month, 0.3 bushel to the acre lower. Not a significant amount by any means on that regard. And then when it comes to carry out and some of these other things, just trying to find where it's at. And of course, again, nothing wants to load, but no one's expecting carry out really to move too awful far. Corn carry out, new crop corn carry out is expected to sit right at that 2 billion bushel number. The USDA in August was 2.117. Soybeans expected to come in around 288 million. In August, it was 290. Wheat at 865 versus 869 in August. So everyone's kind of expecting minimal changes overall, in these numbers. And so we'll kind of keep an eye on that, see what the USDA has to say. Production is the biggest question mark right now. And we are getting into harvest, and it is pretty early yet, so we can't really say too awful much. But the noise or the, calls of, this ain't good in Iowa if you didn't put fungicide on. And, in parts of Illinois where it's like, okay, it's worse than expected. But then there's some good spots. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying everything that's coming in is bad, but there's a lot more in the way of, this is below APH than what we should be seeing in early yield numbers, for a record crop +5, right? Like, the old record +5% is what we're currently forecasting. And, that is not at, APH. And when I say APH, for those of you who are kind of like, what? It's, actual production history. So like a farmer carries a number with them, that, they typically produce 170 bushel the acre corn, 55 bushel the acre soybeans, whatever that might be. And so that's one of those things. If it's below APH, obviously your average production history is actually the word, sorry. But, you're really kind of looking at, if you're below APH, then you're obviously not record. You're not setting a record. So, we'll see what the report says tomorrow. We did get the SRE, like an update on that from the, Reuters said yesterday, that the EPA is going to grant like half of the reallocation. Basically, they're kind of like, okay, well, we're not going to make the farmer entirely happy, and we're not going to make the refiner entirely happy. We're going to make the both of you mad, kind of like my parents when my sister and I wanted something. Like, nope, sorry, you're not. Neither one of you are getting it. We're putting it on the fridge. And so that's kind of where we were. That's where we're at right now. Like, how can I do this to where, both of you are going to be mad at me? All right, we're doing that. And so that's what we're looking at. There's some talk too. You had some legislators, because of course, putting America first is definitely letting, imports come in with full tax credits. that the taxpayer's paying for, like, because we want to make sure it's cheaper for the refiner who made $100 billion last year. I don't know, whatever. But they did have some lawmakers yesterday or the day before come out and be like, we are not doing reallocation and we think you should give credits for imports. So we'll see where that goes. I think they have some other fish to fry in the meantime with the government shutdown and some of these other things coming. And so yeah, we'll see what happens, see where we go. Probably not a lot of places. I think there's some positivity in soybeans simply because, we are looking at what was the driest August since 2013 across the bulk of the Corn Belt, some of the driest August on record in some spots, and the rest of September is supposed to remain hot and dry. So not ideal for a soybean crop finish by any means, and we'll see where we land.
Brilliant. Thank you very much, Angie. As always, absolute rock star. Listeners, thank you so much as always, especially on a day like today, for tuning in. We really do appreciate you. Whatever you're doing today, stay safe, keep it tight, and be kind to each other. And
100%.
100%. That is the takeaway from today. Kindness. And we will see you all tomorrow. Much love.
Have a good one, guys.